HVAC Quick Tips, Wiring Diagram Series Part 4. So what you're going to see right here is a normally open and a normally closed switch. And what we mean by normally open and normally closed is when you are looking at those wiring diagrams, that switch is going to be drawn in the normal position. So if that switch is normally closed, then when that switch is activated, it will open. When that switch is drawn as normally open, then that switch is, when activated, will close. Now, if you look at this, there are little flags on the bar of each switch that will tell you how that switch functions. So the top switch is the little line with the box. That's going to function based on temperature, and we'll go over these in just a little more detail here. The one with the little triangle flag, that's going to be affected by flow, so those are going to be like your flow switches. The little half circle, that's going to be pressure. You've got the full circle, which is going to be level, or like your float switches or your overflow switches. Now, if you look at these, a switch can be drawn a few different ways. Where that switch is drawn, if that switch is drawn above the terminal, then it's going to, if it's normally open, it's going to close on a rise, or it's going to close on a fall. On the normally closed ones, if it's drawn above, it's going to open on a rise, right? Because it's above, the only way it can swing is up, so that's open on a rise. And of course, on the bottom, it opens on a fall because it can't go up, so the only way it can open is down. That's the easiest way to remember it. Now let's take a look at those combined with the symbols and kind of what those mean. So let's look at the normally closed opens on a rise. So that is saying that switch is going to be activated by temperature. And since the line is drawn above the terminal, it is currently closed or normally closed. And it's saying when the temperature rises, because it's drawn above that terminal, it's going to open that switch because it can only open up, right? So those are going to be kind of like your high limits. Anything where you want to trip when the temperature increases, that's where you're going to use that normally closed open on a rise. That's where you're going to see that symbol. So we can see these switches here. If you look at the TCO, it is a normally closed switch, right? Because it is drawn closed. We know it's affected by temperature because the bar is above the terminal, drawn above the little terminal there, that switch will open on a rise in temperature. Okay, so that's more than likely going to be a high limit.